Excellent. All right, so good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to our meeting tonight from wherever you are. I'll call to order the meeting, the Standing Committee meeting of January 17th, and it is exactly 7 o'clock. We'll begin with our land acknowledgement. Blackfalds Town Council acknowledges that we are on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional meeting ground, gathering place, and traveling route to the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, and Nakota Sioux. We acknowledge all the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. Carrying on to the adoption of the agenda, are there any updates from administration?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, unfortunately, Staff Sergeant Martin won't be able to appear as a delegation and provide his annual report due to road conditions, so he sends his apologies. He was making his way to the detachment to participate, however, had to turn back. So we reschedule him as a delegation.
Okay, excellent. Was there anything from council? No, all right, I will entertain a motion. Mayor Hoover?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda for this evening as presented, as amended.
As amended? Excellent. Thank you so much. All in favor? Beautiful, and that is carried unanimously. We will carry on to our now first delegation of the evening, Mr. Jim DeBoon, our animal control year-end report. Jim, you have the floor.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you for letting me join your meeting. And I'll just say that when I did this last year, I actually presented Blackfalds with that plaque because they hit 45% return to owner rate, on cats, which is the highest number I'd ever seen. And I remember saying this time last year that my dream one day would be to break 50% on that number in some town that I did. And I actually didn't find this out until a few hours ago. It's been a rough fall for me, and one thing and another since September. But anyways, I did the numbers, and I came and to my joy, we hit just over 51% return owner rate for cats in 2021 in Blackfalds, which again is the highest number I've ever seen. And of the other 9 communities, 7 of which have cat bylaws, that's notably better. Return owner rate on dogs is always very similar. It's always in the 90 to 95, 98% range in all my towns. And the difference that happens from year to year would be, you know, if somebody abandoned a couple of dogs or something in a town, it would knock it down a couple of percentage points in a town. But I mean, basically there's not an issue with returning dog owners in any good organization in North America. Well, I shouldn't say North America. Well, I said good organization, so maybe I'm still safe. But I mean, that's not been a problem for a few decades. But the problem we have in almost every community in North America is cat overpopulation. It's worse in some areas than others. I took a look to see how we did last year over this year. And actually, the total number of animals picked up in Blackfalds by us this last year was 80. And actually, in 2020, it was 91, so that went down slightly. The really cool news is that in 2020, we picked up 77 cats in the fiscal year. And this year, closing down at 59 is almost a 30% decrease in the number of cats picked up. So we improved the number of cats picked up. That means people are more responsible. And we improved the number of cats that went home, which means at the end of the day, that means that, so for example, last year, we billed Blackfalds, because if a cat is not returned home, then we billed Blackfalds a fee for that. And we billed 41 of those fees last year. And in 2021, we only billed 29 of those fees. So that means the cost for the service dropped notably. So every single indicator is good. Now the dogs went up slightly in 2021 to 21 dogs over 14 last year. Return on rate's the same. There was actually 3 adopted, so that's high for us. But I mean, it was 21 dogs picked up, 18 went home, 3 got adopted. But long story short, all the numbers that I was most hopeful for all went in the right direction this year. And just as an aside, and I didn't give you this number last year, but I did quickly figure it out. We also responded to 132 calls for service in 2021. So if we hit 51% this last year, I'd love to see 55 to, or I could be crazy and say 60% return owner and cats in this year would be absolutely unheard of. Because, and it was important too, if you were to go look searching, there's not many places you'll find this information, because very few shelters will release this information. And when they do, sometimes if you're looking at statistics and you don't know what you're looking at, it can be a little confusing. I always tell people that, I shouldn't say this. Yeah, no, I won't say this. I'm gonna say it, well, I will say it. I'm bad. I always tell people that statistics, it's being recorded. Someone's putting that forward. I saw that. Statistics are like a bikini. What they reveal is interesting, but what they hide is crucial. And when you look at a shelter's statistics, if they say, we got 50% return to owner rates, like for example, Calgary used to say that for a few years, but that service doesn't pick up feral cats. And feral cats don't ever go home by definition. And so the numbers that we use are including those. And so because we include those, I don't know of anywhere else that's anywhere close to Blackfalds. So we're 51 and a bit percent. And like I say, if we could hit 60% this year, I think we would be easily outstripping anyone else in North America. So that's everything I got for you.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Jim. Those are great, encouraging numbers. Did anyone from council have any questions? No, looks like you answered them all right off the bat. Great job.
Well, and I'm going to just come to council. I'm going to write 2021 on your little plaque there, just to add that, because you guys won it again 2 years in a row. So I'll just go put a sticker on the plaque and we'll just update
Perfect.
it.
That sounds great. Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great evening. Try not to go outside if you don't have to.
I have to walk back across the yard to the house. So, but I have a 4x4. I'll drive across. So
good luck.
It'll be okay. Thanks.
Perfect.
Bye.
Thank you so much. And we'll move along. We don't have any public hearing or business arising from the minutes this evening, but we do have a business item 7.1, request for direction, sidewalk repair policy 158.22.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Manager Stevanov will present this item.
Excellent.
Thank you. Yes, we're pleased tonight to bring forward an update to the sidewalk repair and replacement policy. The town first developed this policy back in 2008, and there's been a lot more changes that have happened, especially with our inspection methodology since this time. So this new policy incorporates those. Since our asset management and GIS coordinator joined the town's infrastructure department, we have made advances in this methodology that now go through our GIS program. We use Esri ArcMap, and this cloud-based data management, this cloud-based field map program is available and allows it for instantaneous monitoring and inspection results, and facilitates monitoring year-over-year changes in our sidewalk conditions. The town has already utilized this data gathered from the first year of its new inspection methodology to target future areas for annual inspections. Another benefit of this approach is that it is easier to identify sidewalk conditions trends on a neighborhood level, and it is common to see neighborhoods start to require additional maintenance activities around the same time. Identifying these trends early help with the short to medium term planning for maintenance activities, including more costly activities such as full replacements. This new policy also includes a level of service statement that is based from that is aligned with our asset management policy. And it also identifies that the funds for the sidewalk program come through our annual operating budget. So as far as financial implications, approximately $30,000 is budgeted on an annual basis, or $60,000 may be budgeted on a biennial basis, coming from our operating budget. These yearly budgets may be adjusted from this value based on the proposed number of repairs and replacements happening in a given year. And so with that, I'll just open it up to any questions anyone may have.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Manager Thevenes. Council, does anyone have any questions? Mayor Hoover.
Thank you. I'm just curious. I know that when we were looking at these assets, when they're, I think it says in the policy that we don't consider them for maintenance for the first 3 years. Do we have any sort of warranty from the developers for these sidewalks? I know in terms of driveways that can be the case. You know, sometimes the concrete is a poor mix. When we are turned over these sidewalks, it's as is. That would be my question.
Yeah, so like the policy says that we don't inspect brand new sidewalks or sidewalks generally within the first like 1, 2, 3 years. As part of our development agreement with developers, there is a warranty period of 1 year for any new concrete work or asphalt work.
Yeah, exactly what I was asking. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else have any questions? Just got to flip my screen here so I can see everyone's hands, but I'm not seeing any. Okay, I do have one question. In section 7.2, I was just wondering if you could elaborate, actually, I guess, on the entirety of section 7, because it does sound in the local improvement section. So 7.2, the need to finance neighborhood sidewalk improvements would be decided by town council based on a greater benefit to a portion of the municipality rather than the whole municipality. So is that regarding an additional fee for the people in that area or for the homes in that area?
I think it would be best to let CAO Thompson explain the local improvement tax.
Certainly.
Yeah, we had some discussion on this item last week when we were assembling the request for decision and accompanying policy. In areas where total replacement of sidewalk is required, like an entire block, we wouldn't be looking at introducing a local improvement tax. Just the administrative requirements surrounding that. Our discussion as administration led us to determine that it would be brought forward as a capital item. Sidewalk replacement for a block length in its entirety isn't near as costly and is normally in many cases done in conjunction with road work. So unless it's part of a road replacement, we would be looking at local improvement process.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for the clarification on that. Would it be best then possibly to rename section 7, because it does, as it's called local improvements, it does sort of imply that there would be a local improvement tax?
Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that and make some adjustments accordingly prior to bringing it back to council.
Wonderful, thank you. And one last call if anyone else had any questions. I don't believe so. In that case, if anyone would like to put forth a motion. Councillor Stendy.
I'm prepared to move that Standing Committee recommend the sidewalk repair and replacement policy be forwarded to council for formal approval.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And sorry, I'm just going to switch to full screen here so I can see everyone for voting. Wonderful. All in favor? Thank you, and that is unanimous. Moving forward, request for decision, flag policy 159.22.
Thank you. Administration has brought this policy forward. The flag policy was last updated in 2007, and there is a need to provide better clarification regarding half-masting, flying of flags for different purposes. And so this is before the committee tonight. It's definitely a total rewrite, so we have not provided a marked up version of the previous of the existing policy, although it is attached for your review. So this new policy provides guidelines for displaying the flag and flying flags of organizations, sport teams, or dignitaries in times of achievement or celebration. It provides direction to when flags shall be flown half-mast, including special days and deaths of dignitaries. There's also a section for solemn occasions, with an example being discoveries earlier or late last year of residential school burial sites, and other times when half-mast flags may be appropriate. The new section has been developed, included for a process to request a display of lowering of flags in the community. Flag care is also included in the policy to ensure that it is done in a respectful manner. So as mentioned, the new policy has been put into our standard format, with the front end being the policy itself, and accompanied by the procedure. And when you look at the procedure, you'll note that we have an order of precedence under general, which includes the nation, the province, the municipality, and then also Treaty 6. It also has a subsection on displaying the flags. We've also included displaying of flags for organizations, sport teams, and dignitaries that might be requested from time to time. When we fly the flags at half-mast, as per Alberta protocol and the Canadian heritage, and also special days. And special days, as council, as the committee is aware, is Workers' Day of Mourning on April 28th. Of course, Remembrance Day on November 11th. Police and Peace Officers National Memorial Day, which is the last Sunday in September, I'm sorry. And the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women, which is December 6th. It also provides a clarification when flags are previously mentioned solemn occasions. So I think what this really does is reduces uncertainties. I know years, quite often we get notice from various levels of government advising that flags are being flown half-mast within the federal government or provincial government, and lots of times there's uncertainties as to if we should be in our municipality. So I really feel this policy is much improved and reduces uncertainty and ensures that we're meeting the expectations in the display of our flags. Is there any questions?
Thank you so much, CEO Thompson. Does anyone have any questions? Mayor Hoover?
Yes, thank you. Now, in the policy, it did indicate that the flag should be folded in accordance to the national standard. We don't in the procedure, it doesn't include that. Will that include attachment for anyone that is curious about what that fold is supposed to be?
Sorry, Mayor Hoover, you froze up. I didn't.
Sorry, I noted that in the policy there is there's in terms of when the flag is lowered, it shall be folded in accordance with the standard prescribed by the Canadian Heritage, but the policy or the procedure doesn't include that. Will it include the procedure within this document, or does somebody have to go and look that up separately?
Okay. Okay, we'll definitely take a look at that prior to bringing it back to council.
Thank you. Were there any further questions? Yes, Councillor Dennis. You're muted, Councillor Dennis.
Also, for the days, for the list of days for lowering the flag, that orange shirt day, September 30th, should that be included in that? Because we have that as a stat with the town.
A great question.
I'll have to check on that. We will look into that prior to bringing it back to committee as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Anyone else? I did have a quick question. In the policy, it states the municipal staff to ensure that the flagpoles and equipment at the sites are in good operating condition. However, it doesn't refer to the flags themselves. So later on, it says that the flags must be not be faded, worn, or unfit for service. But I believe that should also be listed in the policy.
Under 2.4, Deputy Mayor?
Under section 3, responsibilities for municipal staff.
Oh, okay.
And then I did have one other question in regards to how we're now showing the 4 flags and that the treaty flag will be included. Are we looking at putting up a 4th pole at the locations at our town facilities?
We're not at this time, but we want to ensure that in the policy that it is accommodated. We definitely will have to undertake some additional research and review of that.
Okay. Wonderful. Yeah, just because I did see that in there, but I wasn't quite sure. So I appreciate that. Thank you. And if there are no other questions, I will entertain a motion. Mayor Hoover?
I'll make the motion that Standing Committee of Council provide feedback on flag policy, and that'll be brought forward to the next regular council meeting for formal approval.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'll call the question. All in favor? Let me just move my mouse to see. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. Wonderful. Well, we are moving quite along. Item 7.3, request for direction, utility rate bylaw 1266.22.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Director Warren and DeBresser will provide this item to the committee.
Thank you. So utility rate bylaw 125020 Schedule B was approved by council a year ago with the 2021 rates updated yearly, as usually what we do for budget. Schedule B is basically the rates that are in alignment with the operating budget for water and sewer set for the 2022 budget. So council and administration discussed these utility rates in the budget assumption discussions that took place on November 15th, as well as at the November 23rd council meeting. The direction from these meetings in relation to the utility rate for 2022 are included in the budget binders and show a 2.6% increase, which was estimated. On January 11th, so just recently, we brought the attached bylaw presented to council for first reading. There was some great discussion on the item, and it was decided that this item would be referred back to administration for more information to determine the impact of a proposed increase versus no increase at all. So through that review, looking at our reserves and assets, and basically presented tonight for council are 2 options: the proposed 22 rate increase and no increase. Through the review, we actually noted an error in the proposed 2022 consumption or sewer consumption rates that was presented to council on the 11th. So the budget binder will be revised to reflect a $3.18 a cubic meter versus the $3.24 per cubic meter that was detailed in the budget binder. So therefore, what we're presenting tonight would only be 2 options. The first option being the 2% rate increase instead of 2.6. And again, we apologize for this confusion. Below is the attached utility rate table for comparison, as well as draft bylaw 126622 reflects this change. Just further of note, if the 0% option was decided on instead of the proposed 2% increase, this rate would only be recommended to be maintained for this budget year as future reserve balances would suffer greatly if the rate was not increased each year. So with that, we've also attached a review of the regional information. So that's the first part of the memo. So the regional water rate per cubic meter is fixed at $2.12 until 2033, as well as the regional wastewater per cubic meter is fixed at $1.87 until 2030. So what we provided is some definitions as far as town water costs, sewers, offsite levy, utility rate model, depreciation, water sewer gap. It is of note that our depreciation should be approximately 50% of the reserve contributions. And currently what we're proposing at 2% increase in 2022 would mean that we are 60% of the way there. So what this comes down to is essentially we have two options that council can choose, or some sort of a hybrid of 2% and 0% increase. So option one with the 2% rate increase, the impact to residential housing using approximately 18 cubic meters of water would be $3.39 monthly, or $40.73 per year. The impact to option one to the reserves would be no impact, because we'd actually be putting back the 68% that we're proposing for the 2020 year budget. However, option two is very viable as well. So with option two, there's a 0% rate increase. Again, we'd only be wanting to recommend this for this year, as additional years would increase that deficit overall. So if council so chose, the 0% increase, the deficit impact on yearly reserves for this year would be 160,000. And with that, that's essentially the presentation, and I'd open it up to questions or comments.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Warren. And I see CAO Thompson.
I just maybe add if Director DeBresser has any additional comments over and above those provided by Director Warren.
Yeah, thank you for that. So no, I think Director Warren did sum up our kind of financial analysis of our reserves. One thing that I did mention in the memo here was our reserve contributions and withdrawals over the next 10 years. That's, I think, about page 4 on the memo there. So you can see our balances are fairly healthy coming into the end of 2022. However, with the major capital projects in 2027 and some in 2025 for the wastewater, we are drawing substantially on those reserves. So you can see there, 2027, negative $43,000 on the water reserve and negative $1 million in 2025 for the wastewater reserve. However, that is the current kind of finance of the next 10-year capital plan. The intent is to kind of look at the reserve policy and seeing what balance do we want in those reserves at year end, like a minimum per $2 million per each, and then would have to draw on debt for those major capital projects or offsite levies. So I just wanted to mention that kind of gives us an idea that, yep, we are putting money away. Is it enough? It is enough for kind of the meantime, but these factors, these don't even factor the inflation there. And once we get the construction kind of period of those years, we'll know those costs a little bit better. They could be higher, they could be lower, but at this stage, we are estimating those figures there. I think that's all I really wanted to add. And with that, I'll open it up for any questions or any additional questions.
Anyone have any questions? All right, not seeing any. I had a question. Oh, sorry, Councillor Stendy, go ahead.
That's okay. I think I asked most of my questions in the last meeting, but I will make note of the fact that we did have a resident email all of council today who had undertaken upon himself to look into what the rates are for other municipalities, specifically ones who share the same water source as us. And Blackfalds in 2021 was sitting at $2.77 per cubic meter. Lacombe for 2021 was 20 cents cheaper at $2.56 per cubic meter. And Red Deer, of course, who sets the commission rates, was at $1.60 per cubic meter. So we are sitting considerably higher, even than Lacombe, when our water doesn't move as far. So just I wanted to make a comment in regards to that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I will ask my question as it is slightly different, but thank you for bringing forward that email because that was one of the notes that I had. I realize, so I guess this is a question through the CAO to Director Warren. I realize that we need to complete a review for the pricing to ensure that our increases are where they should be. Do we have a timeline for when that review will be completed? I know our last one ended in 2020, so how are we looking for that to ensure we're on the right track?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Deputy Pell. So yes, it is in the work plan for 2022. And we'll be trying to go out for a consultant to look at that utility rate model. So yeah, we're hoping to jump on that right away here.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. So something that would be done sort of before budget deliberations begin in the fall, hopefully?
Correct, yes. We want to have this all wrapped up in a pretty bow for council at a time.
Oh, very excited. Thank you. And then just one other question. Did we find from 2020 and 21, did we find an overall increase in water usage, residential water usage as more people were home? And if you had to estimate what percentage that was?
Yes, it's actually different for water and wastewater. But I know that we grew around 2%. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know they did increase. They did increase. Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. Anyone else have any further questions? Mayor Hoover?
Yes, thank you. One of the things that I was focusing on the most was that potential deficit over the next 20 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, it does not look like that considers the interest that we would potentially make on that reserve. Is that correct? Will we expect this to be slightly greater difference if we lose out on that revenue opportunity?
We kind of take the extra costs in the future and the interest and kind of equal or like zero those two out. They kind of zero each other out. So that's the way we look at those long-term dollars. And no matter what, in a number of years, depending on what additional requirements, the provincial government has, as well as, population will determine those other reserves there.
Thank you.
Excellent. If anyone has any further comments or would like to put forward a motion? Councillor Dennis?
I'd like to move that we do a 0% increase for our utilities, water and sewer.
Thank you very much. Any debate on the motion? Councillor Stendy.
Not really debate, but I believe the alternative that is listed there, that standing committee recommend to council to maintain the previous 21 rates under the existing bylaw. Would it be amenable to you to use that as your motion, Councillor Dennis?
Yes, that's fine.
Wonderful. Thank you for that friendly amendment. Any debate or further questions on the motion? All right, then I call the question. All in favor? Wonderful, and that's carried unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we have action correspondence 8.1, foreign medical practitioners letter of support. CAO Thompson.
Thank you. We received these both these letters from the municipality of Crowsnest Pass, and it's my belief that they were responding to Cold Lake, who had been reaching out to municipalities across the province. So we thought, you know, with the challenges that we're finding with our own physician recruitment, that this might be something that council wants to review and maybe bring forward and take action on.
Excellent, thank you so much. I'm interested to know if anyone has any thoughts on this or what everyone's thoughts are on this. Councillor Stendy.
So my thoughts are that we should 100% support this. We should recommend to council that we draft these letters of support. Reason being is day after day, we are hearing more and more closures. The most recent one was Rocky Mountain House is no longer able to offer obstetrics, meaning any woman in labor has to travel over an hour in order to deliver in a hospital. And it isn't the first time that we've heard of a closure like this. They are happening left, right, and center. I think that we have a ton of very valuable, educated individuals in our province who are being underutilized. So I would wholly support recommending that this come to council so that we may draft letters of support.
Excellent, thank you so much. Anyone else have any comments? No, I don't see any hands. All right, I do just have one comment. While I completely agree with Councillor Stendy and I am in favor of sending this letter of support, I would be interested to know if there's municipalities that would be looking to write letters of support as to what, and I'm not suggesting this, it's just a thought, that, you know, what can we do to ensure that the nursing and doctor students that we have in our province and in our country actually stay here? Because we have so many nursing students that go to other provinces or ones that move abroad. And my question is, you know, what could our system do better to actually retain the talent that we already have? And that's sort of in conjunction with ensuring that everyone is being utilized to their, you know, to their full potential. So it's just the thought that I had, but again, I am completely in favor of this. All right, anyone else have any comments? No, I would look for a motion. Councillor Stendy.
So I will move that standing committee recommend to council that we consider drafting letters of support in regards to medical staff, I'm going to call it.
Brilliant, thank you so much. Any debate on the motion? No, all in favor? And that is also carried unanimously. Thank you so much. Information item 9.1, the 2020 Financial Indicators Committee Report.
That'll be Director DeBresser, Deputy Mayor.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Director DeBresser.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council. Before you have the 2020 financial integrator graphs. Previously in 2018, the province did change the process. We used to get a nice printed package from the province. However, they have moved online, similar to what we did last year in 2019. I presented the financial indicators, now called Municipal Measurement Index, little report here. So what we've done is similar to what we did last year for the 2019. We have grabbed our comparable communities, and these communities are listed here: Coaldale, Drumheller, Innisfail, Lacombe, and a few others around here, Sylvan Lake, and compared our municipal rates, non-residential rates, municipal levies, and a variety of other financial indicators against these comparables. So the province actually ranks all the municipalities here from 19 to 128. Blackfalds sits at around that 79 mark. And the comparable communities are listed from 77, like ranking from 77 to 84. So I'll go through them fairly quickly and I'll open up for questions at the end, but I'll go through the major ones, which is our residential property rate, non-residential rate, and the makeup of our assessment base as well. The first graph there is our residential rate. Blackfalds is 8.2, and that's in mils. So times that by 1,000 and you'll get an average rate that you'll pay per household. The median there is 6.8, so we're just over on the residential side for our property tax rate there. Subsequent on the non-residential tax rate, Blackfalds just sits at that 10. However, the median's just under there at 9.9. The range is fairly wide at 7.8 to 18.7 for, I think, the city of Wetaskiwin there. So what does all mean in dollar terms? The next graph there, I've chosen average assessment value of $350,000, and it actually breaks it down to the municipal portion of your tax bill there. Blackfalds sits at around that $2,800 mark, where the median is about $2,400. Still within the range. We're not in the higher or the lower. However, the higher terms there is just under $3,300. On the non-residential side, we're pretty much smack bang on the median there. Flipping over, and chart number 4 is our composition of our assessment base. Rule of thumb for municipalities is an 80-20 split. So 80% residential, 20% non-residential. We're getting better over the last couple of years with the new non-residential coming on. We are getting that down. However, we still got a ways to go to get to that 80-20 split. So on the residential side, we're just under 88%, and on the non-residential side, 12% of that makes up our tax base. I won't go through the range, but on the median, definitely it's nearly that 80-20 split. It's a little bit better for the non-residential side there, but we are competing with the bigger cities there on our comparables. Okay, municipal debt, that's another talking point. So yeah, Blackfalds on the short-term debt, that's kind of within what's due within a year. Long-term is anything over the year there. So Blackfalds on the short term, $456, where the median is just under $400. However, on the long term, we're looking at $1,364, where the median is at $1,500. I have to note there, when we talk debt, that's per person divided by population, of course, but the municipal debt is shared among the residents, businesses, and industry taxpayers. So the other one that I kind of would want to mention is our total revenue to expenses, which is number 7 there. Our revenue is $3,340. This is divided by population as well, where the median is just under 3,000. So we're ahead on the revenue. On the expense side of things, we are under the median at 2,509. And the median is 2,700. So the main difference there is boil it down to our franchise fees that we put straight into reserves there. So so I think that's a major difference there. But that's kind of all I wanted to highlight this evening. And the recommendation tonight is just to accept this report as information. And with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Director DeBresser. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Mayor Hoover?
Yeah, pretty simple question. What was the population that we used for this calculation?
Definitely, I don't have that information in front of me. However, I dare say it's going to be the provincial numbers that they go from the statistics office there. That's the only numbers they use now. So I don't have that, but yeah, definitely I can't get them at this instant.
Thank you. Just a comment. I was actually on the provincial site not too long ago, and they did have our 10,125 number as listed as our population. So my guess is that's the number that they went with.
Okay.
Anyone else have any further questions? Yes, Mayor Hoover.
If no one else has a question, I'll motion to accept this for information.
Wonderful, thank you. Before I call the question, I just had one comment. Thank you for this presentation. Will this information be put on our website? I realize that it's on the website right now as an agenda item, but I wonder if it would be put as a news item.
That's something we have a administration team meeting this tomorrow morning, so we can discuss including that somehow for sure.
Okay, great. I think it would be wonderful information to have. Perfect. So Mayor Hoover has put forward the motion to accept his information. All in favor? Perfect. Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. This evening, we do not have any roundtable discussion, adoption of minutes, notices of motion. Does anyone have any business for the good of council? No. Moving forward then, we do have a confidential item this evening, so this will be the end of the public portion. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending, and stay safe out there because it looks pretty nasty. Would anyone like to call for a recess?